Welcome to Kevin and Brian's Horror Bulletin podcast, recorded live from the Vampire's Crypt, the brightly lit crypt, where each week we discuss some horror news, a classic Universal Studios feature, 2 creature features, and a short horror film.
This week, we'll cover the Universal Studios movie, The Invisible Man, from 1933, the contemporary classic, The Tunnel, from 2011, discussion of the short film, The iMom, and either Late Phases or Night of the Wolf, from 2014.
Or it might be called Night of the Lone Wolf. It's a weird movie because it seems to have 3 different titles.
Either way, we'll talk about it. Good. Get ready, because here we go. First, we've got the news.
An artist going by the name Kreimkouk?
I would call that kreimkouk.
Kreimkouk. Kreimkouk. Has posted a video of it. It must be the most amazing Lego horror sculpture ever. It's a panoramic video touring this sculpture. It looks like a house, like decked out for Halloween. And it zooms in and shows the outside. There's some trick-or-treaters and some decorations.
It's a very well-made looking house on the outside.
And then it opens like one of them old-fashioned doll houses. And there's rooms inside, and he's got all kinds of Easter eggs of horror movies. The Shining and Beetlejuice and The Nun.
Scooby-Doo.
Gremlins. Yeah, just all kinds of stuff. And it's a video of it panning over these things that it's really cool.
It's neat. We'll have a link for it in the show notes.
Yeah, you really should check it out.
Next up, a preview for Crawl has just been released. Crawl.
A brand new movie.
What's worse than being in a major hurricane in Florida? Being trapped in an area that's flooding? And what's worse than that?
I know. Monstrous alligators.
They take an interest in getting to you no matter what it takes. They're very persistent-looking alligators.
Yeah, and something's not normal there. Something monstery about them.
They're like psycho cannibal.
Yeah, they're not
alligators.
Animal. Yeah. July 12th of this year, we'll get to join in the fun and see the premiere of this movie.
Check out the link below for the link. It is really a neat-looking movie.
Yeah, it looks like a good preview.
What's third?
If you're going to be in Los Angeles between now and June 16th, you may want to check out I Like Horror at the Desmond. It's a 25,000 square foot interactive horror pop art exhibit where you actually step into these different art interpretations of horror scenes. There's giant Chinese takeout container from The Lost Boys where you can waller around in these giant maggots, or visit the boiler room of Freddy Krueger, and the bar in The Shining. It's just got all kinds of different areas that you go into and kind of immerse yourself in these sculptures. And
not a horror, not a haunted house, more of a theme park kind of thing.
Yeah, more of an art tribute to these different movies and things. Yeah, it looks really neat. There's a little bit of hints on it, and we got a link to the Newsweek article about it. Looks really neat.
It does. It's neat. What's
and
next?
The artist has talked about possibly taking it on the road too, so maybe it'll come closer than.
Yeah, if you're nowhere near Los Angeles, it might be a good thing if it starts traveling.
We're a ways away. It would be a heck of a drive. Yeah. If you're a fan of horror based on real places and maybe real events, you may want to check out Amityville Mount Misery Road, which is coming to DVD on May 7th. I saw that. I heard those eyes roll.
It would hard not to see that.
Yeah. Said to be the most haunted road in America, Mount Misery Road.
It's spreading out from the house
Long
now.
Island,
it's the
New
road.
York. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The town of Amityville.
Long
the
Island,
state
New York.
Yeah, it's spreading.
Yeah. Anyway, Charlie and Buzzy, they are both the main characters and the creators of the film, travel to the mysterious road, which is haunted by ghosts and creatures, and they struggle to survive, but evil is strong. And
the skeptic tells me they couldn't afford a license to film inside the house.
And so they just did
This
it
is
on
the
a
road in front of the Amityville house.
Amityville.
This is the fence in front of the Amity house.
It could be
See the
entirely
Amity house
made
way
up.
down at the end of the road.
Well, our next bit of news made me roll my eyes.
Yeah, Vox has quite an article titled "Inside the Haunted Doll Markets of eBay and Etsy." Buy this haunted doll.
For real.
Yeah.
People claiming that they're literally haunted dolls and cursed dolls.
I remember way back in like the late 90s, they were selling things like Ghost in a Jar. And it was like a smoky thing in a Belgian. Yeah.
Oh, no, these are the real things.
Oh, yeah.
They say.
Haunted doll sellers and collectors say buyers should beware. Because possessed and haunted dolls aren't just the realm of movies like Annabelle and Chucky.
Now, Annabelle was based on a real doll and a real legend.
So was Chucky, I think.
Yeah,
it was all true.
I don't think Chucky was. No.
Etsy and eBay list thousands of dolls purportedly inhabited by everything from evil witches to judgmental spirits that might call you fat to young children and fairy spirits. Most haunted dolls sell for around $50 plus shipping, a bargain. But the most highly prized ones are priced well into the four figures. There is a formula, too, for how they're sold. Each listing contains a detailed overview of the spirit's life story, details of said spirit's death, and a description of their personality. Dolls are labeled active or highly active if paranormal phenomena are said to occur frequently in their vicinity. Some are advertised as being able to move objects, make noises, or communicate via telepathy or Ouija board, while others are meant to act as creative muses, play matchmaker by revealing potential lovers in dreams, or emit positive energy. You really should read the article to learn the stringent testing process that some dealers use to assure that the dolls are genuine.
Yeah, there's this one guy that warns you, beware of the hucksters and the fakers, because their dolls are genuine. They go through this stringent process, and
That whole little certificate with the life story and all that, isn't that what Cabbage Patch dolls used to have?
Oh, those were real too.
Those were real. I've seen them.
Yeah, no, I mean they were. They really found them in the Cabbage Patch.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Just like these dolls are really possessed.
I believe.
Okay, skeptical man is skeptical.
Okay, and that's the news for this week.
Yes, it is.
So, as we've been doing in previous weeks, we saw a Universal horror film. This one from 1933.
The Invisible Man.
He's here with us today as our special guest.
He could be, standing right between us.
I'm right here.
He was invisible and murderously insane.
I'm still here.
I made some notes on that.
I made some notes on that.
Yeah.
It was directed by James Whale, same guy that did Frankenstein in the movie from last week.
And I never realized he did other stuff besides.
Everybody knows him from Frankenstein and not much else.
He did a lot of things.
Based on a story by H.G. Wells, starring Claude Rains, Gloria Stewart, and William Harrigan. 1 hour and 11 minutes.
They were short. They got to the point.
They all were. None of these so far have been an hour and a half.
Yeah.
They've all been short.
Yeah. No fluff. No filler. Right to the point.
Well, there's nothing to see in The Invisible Man, so...
Yeah.
Okay, there's more to it than that.
Claude Rains.
Yeah. The film starts with a man in bandages walking through a snowstorm to an inn. The others at the inn are creeped out by the mysterious man, but he does manage to rent a room. Almost immediately, the landlady barges in on him while he's trying to eat, and he covers his face with a napkin.
Mm-hmm.
They get off to a bad start.
And she thinks that he's wounded or something, that he's covering scars, or she doesn't get a good look at his invisible face yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, another scene. Flora confronts her scientist father and asks about his assistant, Jack Griffin. He's been missing for nearly a month, ever since he went off to carry out his own experiments.
On himself. She's concerned because he was so excited before he left. And his co-worker, Kemp, doesn't like Jack because he was too secretive. Flora, on the other hand, likes Jack a lot. Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Jack is working on a project in his room at the inn. "There's got to be a way back," he states, and then screams at the landlady. She gets angry and sends the landlord husband up, and Jack pushes the landlord down the steps.
Had enough of his stuff, but yeah.
The police are called. He undresses before the crowd while cackling maniacally. And I tell you, the last time I did this, it didn't work out the same.
Well, you weren't invisible. Yeah.
I thought I was.
Yeah.
He chokes the cop and tears up the whole inn, causing a panic and general mayhem all over the little town.
While being invisible.
Well, yeah. It's easier that way.
And actually, I thought the special effects were pretty cutting edge for 1933.
How do you do a green screen with a black and white film?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how they...
Nowadays, this effect would not be that hard. Back then, I don't know how they did it.
Well, I read that at least some of the effect, they had him dressed in like a black skin suit under the bandages and in front of a black screen. At least for some of the effect. And they spliced it in somehow. And then he unwrapped
Then they could have
the
just
bandage.
projected the light parts onto the film or something.
Right, yeah, and the black
okay.
didn't show up. So it was sort of like a black screen effect, not a green screen effect where it blended.
They didn't have all the computer and chroma key and stuff.
They didn't have computers. Yeah.
Done with ink.
But yeah, I thought the effects were good, and for 1933,
for what it was, sure.
black and white,
So we change scenes again, and the scientists talk about Jack while going through his abandoned lab. They find a recipe that calls for monocaine.
Dangerous stuff.
Dr. Cranley explains to Kemp that it's a drug that bleaches color from anything and everything, and it also causes insanity. We must tell the police that Griffin's disappeared, he says. And it's not completely certain if that was an intentional pun or not, but it was one either way.
I think it was. Yeah.
So Griffin goes to talk to Kemp. Kemp gives him more bandages and clothes because he comes in naked and invisible. Griffin wants to take over the world, starting with a reign of terror, and he wants Kemp to help him out, someone to take on the little things.
He's insane,
Oh, yeah.
He's crazy,
First, he needs to go back to the inn and pick up his notebooks that he wasn't able to carry. He retrieves the books and then makes a fool out of the chief of police by killing him in front of a crowded room.
No, he just chokes him out.
They said later he died.
Oh, he did die?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It wasn't clear in the beginning, but yeah,
he's
dead.
the cop that died. Okay,
Yeah.
there was a cop that died.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He explains to Kemp that half-digested food, dirt on his feet, and even dirty fingernails can give him away. Meanwhile, he's smoking like a chimney and you don't see the smoke. Meanwhile, the chief detective sets up a massive search effort. He must leave tracks, even if he is invisible.
Mm-hmm.
The call for searchers go out on the radio, and before long, everyone is looking for someone they can't see.
Which is kind of a weird way to search. I mean, they're combing the countryside.
Is that him? Is that him?
No, you can't see him.
Kemp calls Dr. Cranley, and Flora overhears the call. Flora insists on confronting Griffin right now. She wants a sort of intervention. They show up at Kemp's house. Griffin explains that he wanted riches and power to win Flora's heart, but she says she already loved him before all this. The police show up with bloodhounds. Griffin sends Flora away as it's time for him to get naked. He swears to kill Kemp at 10 o'clock tomorrow night and runs off, having a little fun with the many police waiting outside.
Yeah, he gets away.
He does, too.
Yeah, he does, yeah. He makes an ass out of him, yeah.
They'd kind of be pretty stupid to let him get away with some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a little played up. But
the next day?
What are you going to do? He's invisible. You're not used to dealing with invisible men.
You know, if you got your arm around the people next to you and somebody tries to go through there, invisible or not, you're going to know they're right there, aren't you?
Yeah, but he was kicking them and shoving them and going, I don't know.
He was insane.
He was
explains
insane.
a lot.
He was insane. Yeah.
The next day, Griffin causes mayhem with the search party, killing 20 men, and then derails an entire train just for the sake of chaos, killing over 100 more. He robs a bank and throws money all over the street. The chief of detectives say they have one idea left that just might work, and it doesn't. No. Griffin kills Kemp right under the noses of the police. Finally, the police catch a break. It starts snowing heavily. They track him to a nearby barn where Griffin is asleep. They set fire to the barn and shoot Griffin when he comes out,
leaving footprints in the snow.
Flora goes to see him in the hospital, and Griffin admits he was wrong just before he dies.
And he becomes invisible.
He takes his last breath and reappears, now completely visible.
And that was a cool effect, too. It was kind of like a skeleton appeared first, and then the rest of
you
him.
could see the bones and stuff first.
Yeah.
He, appeared from the inside out.
And
that's actually the only scene where you see Claude Rains.
Yeah, yeah. Do you notice when he came out of the barn and his footprints in the snow, they weren't bare footprints, they were shoe footprints.
He was naked except for the
was-
invisible shoes.
There was invisible shoes. No. No.
Yeah, not terribly realistic. Okay, so what'd you think?
Overall, I liked it.
I liked it.
I
I thought
liked
it was
it a
very,
lot,
very
yeah.
a lot of humor in it compared to the other movies.
Yeah.
Frankenstein and Dracula and stuff, the others didn't have much in the way of humor to it, but
This one did.
he's got
More
some
so.
good insults. He plays some good funny tricks on people. It was a much
Crazy.
funnier movie.
And yet grim at the same time. He's got the highest body count of any of the
100 people
Universal
on the
monsters.
train right
100
there.
122 is his body count. And he wins. He kills more than Frankenstein, more than Dracula, more than...
I think he killed more than
Dracula.
everybody we've seen combined.
Yeah.
In the Universal universe.
Yeah. Yeah, he wins it down.
So what'd you think of the landlady?
She was a hoot.
She was a screamer, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean the innkeeper? Yeah.
The innkeeper,
She
yeah.
screamed a lot. Yeah. A very emotional woman.
Yeah, a little bit over the top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a
Whose
little bit.
panic borders on the ridiculous.
You know what was cool? Old Rose in Titanic was in this.
The leading lady in this was the old
1933,
woman
she
in
was,
Titanic.
She was young and beautiful once.
And that was like 70 years later when Titanic came out.
Something like that.
99 or something? I don't remember what. A lot. She was really old in Titanic.
But she wasn't in this. Yeah.
Okay, so there were hundreds of extras playing hundreds of cops.
Yeah, a lot
Must have been
of
a very
extras.
expensive film for the time with all these people in it.
Plus the special effects.
The special effects are obviously dated and kind of basic, but very effective.
It was Claude Rains' first talking role. He'd done silent movies and stage work, and this was his first talkie.
And he did kind of nothing but talk because you couldn't see him through a lot of it.
Yeah, well, that was a big role in his...
It was really him and the bandages, though.
Yeah, a big part of him being cast was his distinctive boomy voice that could carry through the bandages.
Well, you know, similar, the character reminds me of the character in Doom Patrol. Larry, the guy who's got the negative spirit in him.
A little bit.
And in Doom Patrol, you got Brendan Fraser as the Robot Man and Matt Bomer as... what is he?
Bandage guy.
The bandage guy.
Yeah.
But neither one of them are actually on screen. They have different actors playing those bodies.
Oh, they do?
They're just voice
I didn't
work.
realize
Yeah,
that.
they're not really there. They have
I
different
thought that
actors.
was them.
This was actually Claude Rains under the bandages.
Yeah, okay.
So similar but different. Okay, so thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Best we've seen so far?
I still like Frankenstein best.
I'd say maybe top 3 of the Universals so far, that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of top 3 best movies we've seen so far, how about The Tunnel from 2011?
That wasn't in the top 3.
No.
It wasn't in the top. Well,
No.
Okay, they tried.
They tried. That's great praise.
Independent,
sort of an independent
film. Yeah, they had creative fundraising, I guess, kind of Kickstarter.
Crowdfunded.
type.
Yeah, legitimately crowdfunded.
Not
and later
Kickstarter
it was
specifically,
distributed
but-
through BitTorrent. So you could get you still can get this movie for free online,
Yeah,
legally.
it barely showed in theaters and just made a little bit of money in the theaters, and mostly it was fundraised and then out there for free.
Yeah, I got some details on the money they made in theaters in a bit.
Uh-huh.
So, 2011, directed by Carlo Ledesma, written by Enzio Tedeschi, and starring Bedelia, Andy Rotoreda, and Steve Davis. Boy, that sounds like a foreign film, but, well, they were Australian.
Australian,
Yeah.
sort of foreign.
Hour and
Was.
30 minutes.
Yeah. Documenting events in October 2007. It was a documentary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sort of.
Found.
Yeah, it was, okay.
Not really found footage because it was provided footage. It
Okay.
wasn't, but,
It's a found footage film where there are some survivors, so it's a little different.
and it's presented as a documentary. They start out with talking to the survivors about what led up to the events,
And we see it on the leftover footage.
yeah.
Mostly night vision footage.
and there's news stories and like a documentary.
Yeah. There's a whole hidden world beneath the streets of Sydney, Australia. The government plans to tap into an abandoned water reservoir under the city since the water reserves are at an all-time low. Old train tunnels have filled with water, and there's so much water that it could solve all their problems. But There's also reportedly a bunch of homeless people living down there. Suddenly, the whole plan is scrapped without explanation.
And that didn't make a lot of sense because, well, do the project anyway, and get them out as you do the project. And
well, the question is, why did they scrap the project?
why?
And this bunch of reporters,
because they're covering something up.
Could be. They know.
Yeah.
The film starts out with a bunch of young reporters and camera people being interviewed about what happened to them. They saw a clip on YouTube about some kids who disappeared in the tunnels. The reporters think the government knows what's happening and is covering it up, and of course, no one will answer their calls or questions.
So what did they decide to do?
They try to go into the tunnels, and the guards turn them away.
Yeah.
They have to find another way. The four of them quickly do find another way, and there's at least a 5-minute scene of them cutting a chain-link fence on a grainy black and white security camera. There's a lot of very grainy and dark night vision camera work in this.
Because they're carrying a night vision camera and a regular camera with them. And then it's their footage that they actually shot in the tunnels.
Pessimist time. Special effects are cheaper if you don't have to see them. Okay, one of the crew goes, there's miles and miles of tunnel that aren't even on their map.
No, the location was good. They were lucky to be able to get.
Wherever they filmed
where
this,
they were.
it was exactly what you'd expect from this storyline.
Yeah.
Miles and miles of tunnel.
Empty, abandoned tunnels. And used to be, some of it used to be subway tunnels. Some of it was repurposed for bomb shelters during the war and then abandoned. It just goes on and on. Great location.
Really good, yeah. That the only good part of the movie.
The best part. Well, one of the good parts.
Okay. One of the crew goes missing, and shortly afterwards so do all the flashlights and equipment. At first they think it's a homeless person messing with them, but then they see it's something huge.
Yeah.
Later, there's the usual found footage staples with lots of yelling, heavy breathing, and people yelling over each other.
Because they're all screaming and running, and they're not pointing the camera anymore. They're running with the camera.
It's Blair Witch indoors.
It kind of was, yeah.
Now, the movie that I thought was closest to this was 2014's As Above, So Below. We saw that when it came out in the theaters. Mm-hmm. I liked it okay. It was not great, but it was entertaining.
That wasn't a documentary, though. That was a movie.
It was still found footage, wasn't it? It's been a while.
Not really, no.
No?
No.
Okay.
Not so much.
A lot of the
Not
same
like
thing.
this.
The girl in the movie was just running around in the tunnels and caves, lost, and there may have been something in there with her.
Well, they had a map that showed some of the tunnels, but they had built more, and the map wasn't very good. So they got lost a lot and couldn't find their way out.
The tunnel does have a few genuinely creepy scenes, most of which are on the super low-res night vision cameras, which kind of adds to the creepiness.
Yeah, I don't think it was bad. It's just, it took them a while to get to anything scary.
The pacing in this film leaves a lot to be desired.
A lot of setup. It was realistic.
Yeah.
But, and then, what was it, halfway through before they get to the tunnel?
Exactly halfway before they even get in the tunnel.
Yeah.
I guess we're supposed to hear these young professionals talk about their passion for their work and care about them. But this is a horror film. I was just waiting for the monsters to eat somebody.
Eventually.
The first 42 minutes involve a lot of talking and no scares. On the bright side, or dark side, the second half is very claustrophobic, and the sets and location shots are perfect. If you have a phobia of dark hallways and abandoned buildings...
And the lights going out.
This is a good one.
Your flashlight's going dead, and your battery's running dead, and... Yeah.
Again, it's one of these ones, if you skip the first half, you're good.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of setup to why they're in the tunnel, but...
I thought the trivia on Wikipedia was even better.
Oh?
From Wikipedia. Principal photography took place in Sydney, comprising on-location shoots in some of the city's disused underground tunnels, as well as a public pool and the Navy's World War II air raid shelters at Garden Island. The tunnel was the first Australian film to be distributed and promoted legally through the BitTorrent internet downloading platform, a release strategy which exposed the film to tens of millions of people for free. So it's not a big movie. This was not well released. This was... it's one of those ones they couldn't even afford to go straight to DVD, would be my guess.
But they probably got more viewers this way.
More budget than a general indie film like you'd see on YouTube or something. But this way they got millions of people to essentially pirate their movie. The Tunnel was shown in only one North American theater during its entire theatrical run, limiting its box office earnings. It grossed $507 during its open weekend, and during its second week, it grossed $318.
Well, they
Dollars, not millions.
Well, they do that. There's a lot of awards that you have to have shown the movie in a theater.
Yeah, even Netflix shows
one,
most of their direct to Netflix things in a theater somewhere,
so they can get the award. Get the entries and make them eligible.
It eventually grossed a total of $1,348 in North America. It's a low budget movie, but I bet they didn't. They spent they spent more on that.
Yeah. For low budget, it was
I'd call it a serious 4 out of 10.
Yeah,
it's not
5 out of 10.
Terrible,
but it's not very original. I mean, kind of like it felt like I've seen these things before.
Yeah, again, though, that As Above, So Below, that came after this. They may have, may have copied from this a little bit.
It seemed very Blair Witch, like Blair Witch in tunnels.
You run around and scream at each other on camera for an hour. Everything's going to seem like Blair Witch.
Yeah, it does.
We're lost. Run.
Yeah.
Scream,
what's
die.
that?
Yeah. Speaking of running and screaming, we've got a message for you. 13 short tales of terror, ranging from classic tales of supernatural revenge to serial-killing clowns, alien menaces, and demons. Even death incarnate makes an appearance. If you enjoyed collections of short horror fiction when you were young, you'll enjoy these more grown-up tales. Definitely not for children. Inside, you'll find When the Clown Comes Calling, Menace in the Mural, Delivering the Demon, Silent Flight, Prisoner 2, Druid on My Doorstep, Dreamcatcher, How I Killed Grandma, or What I Did Over Summer Break, You'll Die Alone, The Hypnotist, The Secret, as well as the all-new Terror on the Appalachian Trail, written exclusively for this collection. Also included is the first installment in the Necropolitan Police series, The Ghoul. Written by Brian Schell, available at Amazon and wherever good books are sold. Okay, now that the screaming has died down, we saw a short film too, didn't we?
Just in time for Mother's Day, we saw iMom.
Oh, Mother's Day, that's perfect. iMom 2018, 13 minutes, 9 seconds.
A short film on YouTube. Yeah. And you should watch it.
Link will be below, you can watch it.
It was a really good one.
It's good, yeah. Yeah, some gets left to the imagination, some doesn't.
Yeah.
Ariel Martin's The iMom explores the future of AI and asks who is to blame when technology turns on us. It starts out with a bunch of insecure mothers being interviewed, followed by a promo for the new iMom, the world's first fully functioning mother substitute.
It's kind of a supplement, mother supplement, or nanny, or
Mother supplement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sam's mother is very
humanoid
busy.
Robot.
Yeah. And she goes out a lot, leaving Sam and the baby alone with the iMom. Like all kids, Sam hates the robot. He goes upstairs to draw when lightning strikes.
Mm-hmm. And lightning and electronics don't mix sometimes.
Static time.
Yeah, things go badly. But we're not going to tell you how they go badly. But I thought it was really well done. Really.
Yeah,
how it unfolded. And you get a sense that maybe things are going badly, but yet she's interacting with the kid, and things seems normal, and she's bantering with him, and you're hopeful that oh, okay, she's not messed up, things are okay. It's okay, isn't it? And it's not okay. Yeah. I thought I was somebody did the makeup that knew what they were doing. Mm-hmm. It's a real subtle thing. It's a human actress, but her skin looks
sort of
artificially
plasticky.
Yeah. They did make up where she looks plasticky, and her hair looks vaguely fake. Yeah.
Too perfect.
Yeah. Really, really effective.
Yeah, really well done.
Yeah. So this one I give a big thumbs up. I liked it.
13
all around,
minutes.
and, yeah.
Free on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about our big movie this week?
Well, that was the one that
What was this movie?
Well, original title was Late Phases.
Late Phases, okay.
And then later, they changed it to Night of the Wolf. But some sources also say the title is Night of the Lone Wolf.
Do an image search for Late Phases 2011 and look at the different DVD covers that come up.
Yeah.
This thing has been marketed and re-released. I don't know what happened. Yeah. We can't find the story on it.
But the version we saw was Late Phases.
Yeah, definitely called Late Phases.
2014, hour and a half, hour and 32 minutes.
Director is Adrian Garcia Bogliano. Writer is Eric Stolz. Stars Nick DeMichi, Ethan Embry, and Lance Guest. Hour and 35. Ambrose is a grouchy old blind veteran. Grouchy old blind veteran.
Mm-hmm.
He and his son Will are shopping for his headstone when the film starts. He's moving into a retirement community. First thing inside the door, he puts his hand on the wall and pulls out this large fingernail or claw of some kind.
And right away, there's a sense of foreboding. Like maybe he made a bad choice moving to this community.
It's a nice neighborhood. Everybody lives in like these double houses. That's huge yards. It's a nice area.
Yeah, nice gated retirement community. They're like duplexes, right?
Yeah. That evening, he's all moved in, and there's a full moon outside.
Uh-oh.
Ambrose hears strange noises outside, and there's a pounding on the next-door neighbor's door.
Dolores, who he had met earlier that day. Yeah.
Then the werewolf breaks down the door. There's no suspense here. It's a werewolf.
Yeah, it's a brutal attack.
And the werewolf kills the lady next door while Ambrose listens to it all through the very thin wall. Of course, then it breaks through his door, kills his seeing eye dog, and messes the place up.
Mm-hmm.
But the dog does drive it off, so it doesn't kill Ambrose.
And they get right to it in this. There's not much
delay. That's 5-10 minutes
in.
This is the introduction.
Yeah, hell of a way to spend your first night in the neighborhood. You're welcome.
Everyone has heard stories about this neighborhood. The police, assuming it's a wild animal attack, tell him attacks like these happen all the time around here. Just stay in your house and keep your doors closed.
Oh, and the vet, when they took the dog to the vet, and we get calls every month from that community. That was a nice
nice place.
Yeah, nice. Every month, huh? Like the full moon?
Every month, yes. And of course, Ambrose is hearing all this about the monthly stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And a little later, someone mentions that it's a full moon last night, and something clicks with Ambrose.
Yeah, he puts it together quickly.
He knows what it is right away.
Yeah, he couldn't see it, but he could smell it, and he certainly felt it. And
we hear all these stories about what he did in Vietnam, and sort of get the feeling maybe he met one over there, possibly. And he mutters to himself, 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
And then he starts preparing and training.
Making plans.
And that's all I'm going to say on the story here.
That's all you're going to say?
What do you want to say?
Well, we probably shouldn't give it away. It's kind of a whodunit.
It is.
We don't know who the werewolf is.
A lot of werewolf movies are whodunits. Yeah. It just works out well for that kind of thing.
When they're in human form.
Yeah.
And, we shouldn't give spoilers on this.
Nah.
Because you do wonder, as he gets to know his neighbors and the people in the community, and goes to a church, and he's like, gathering intel.
Yeah, he's scoping out who it might be. And a lot of the neighbors are actors that we've seen in things for many, many years. They're
Ginger
familiar.
from Gilligan's Island. Yeah, she's in it.
Oh boy, is she old.
She's 80 in it. Yeah. She looks good for 80, but she looks 80.
Plastic surgery from 35 years ago. When she was trying not to look 80.
Oh,
I'm harsh.
You are harsh.
I'm not lying, though.
No.
Anyway, what about the kid from The Last Starfighter?
He didn't look so good. Yeah.
Some people do not age well.
He didn't, yeah. He's twice the age he was.
He's twice the man he was then, too.
More than twice the age and more than twice the man. Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, there's these character actors that you've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
The priest is... who was he? He was the villain in RoboCop 2, the drug dealer.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been in multiple monsters and other things.
And it seems like he always plays a weasel,
Always
or
plays
at
a
least a
bad guy.
weasel, or somebody weird, or
Yeah.
he never plays a normal person.
So anyway, this is an unusual werewolf film. Ambrose is not your typical movie hero, old and blind, but he makes do. A lot of the
He's a tough old
scenes,
guy.
he reminded me of Charles Bronson
Yeah, a little bit.
as an old guy.
Yeah.
Looks a lot like him in some scenes.
Yeah.
He's a tough old guy dealing with patronizing children and living in a very unlikely setting. A retirement community and a village of interesting characters, one of whom is a werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, it appears obvious who the werewolf is, but no, it's not.
Or is it?
Yeah, or is it?
Or it's not.
Ambrose has a
They
plan.
They did that really well.
Yeah.
When you think you figured out who it is, and then, you're not sure.
Yeah, and then
that's
maybe
who it
you are
is.
sure again.
And then,
no, you're not again.
No, that's not. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't lie to you. They don't show you, sneaking up behind this innocent person like it's faking you out.
Yeah.
They don't lie to you. They don't hide it. It's just not who you think it is.
Yeah. And then when the transformation happens,
Then you know who it is.
obvious. And
Yeah.
that's a really good effect. I thought that was it was kind of like the werewolf forming inside the person and busting out. Literally, like their human teeth went scattering across the floor.
And he tears his face off.
As
and there's a wolf underneath.
replaced by the fangs. And
The transformation scene is very good,
Yeah,
although the
that was
makeup
good.
effects later on are kind of comical.
well, a little bit. Some of those shots looked like a person in a fursuit.
Kind of they all did. After the transformation, it didn't hold up so well.
Not as well.
The transformation scene is good.
Yeah, that was the best.
So Ambrose has a plan. The werewolf has a plan as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the werewolf knows that Ambrose knows that he knows.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know that you know that I know that you know.
Yeah.
Still, the story and characters are unusual, and it's absolutely worth watching.
Yes.
I really liked it. I'd give it an 8 of 10.
I'd give it a 9. Yeah. This was one of the best werewolf ones I've seen in a long time.
Because it's not what you're expecting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very atypical. Yeah.
The ending is good. The beginning
Satisfying, and
it starts right into it. It's not a lot of suspense in the beginning.
Yeah.
There's a werewolf attack within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it's build up for the next werewolf attack.
A month later, yeah.
Yeah. 1 month.
That moon will be back. Can you make silver bullets? Well, yeah.
Yeah, the guy didn't bat an eye at the silver bullet
No.
thing, did he?
And asked him, what do silver bullets make you think of? Oh, the Lone Ranger. Didn't make that guy think of werewolves at all.
I would never have even remembered the silver bullets had anything to do with the Lone Ranger. I mean, I know it, but it's not the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Well, the sun must be coming up.
Yeah, I think so. The vampires want back in.
Yeah.
We're going to have to go.
Thanks for joining us. Stop in during the week at horrorbulletin.com for news and horror updates, to comment on the podcast, or to contact us. Leave some comments in the YouTube.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave some comments on YouTube. Send us an email. Send us some Twitter. We want to hear from you. Some feedback would be nice.
Yeah.
Horrorbulletin.com, or check out our Twitter at twitter.com/horrorbulletin. Our Patreon is at patreon.com/horrorbulletin. And I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.